Hi everybody, this is Anne. The inspiration for this week's project came as I was sifting through a gift catalog. I saw a popcorn bowl with a lidded compartment in the center of the inside. The lid had holes so the kernels would fall through. I wondered if that was a project I could make on the wheel. So in this video, I'll demonstrate throwing a large, similar popcorn bowl and trim out the inside for the compartment. I wedged a large amount of clay. I made sure it was softer than I normally throw with so it wasn't as rough on my wrists. I wedged it really well into a cylinder shape, then I smoothed the bottom with my thumbs. I slammed the clay down in the center of the bat, then made sure it was as close to center even before I started centering. I need the clay to stick, so I'm patting the clay using one hand on the side and one slanted at the top. I wet the clay, making it a little softer to mold. With one hand over the top and the other on the side to stop the clay from mushrooming, I began to push downward on the mound, which automatically starts the centering. I then moved the palm of my hands downward to push the displaced clay towards the bat.
Want the mushroom out and pushing it down. That's a lot of clay.
Now that'll only get you so far. To get it down to the bat, I used my fingers to push the last bit of clay right down to the bat itself. Now that's pretty close to the center, but it still has a wobble, and I still want to check my clay to make sure there are no air bubbles or uneven dry clay areas inside the clay, so I'm going to cone it up. I gently squeeze my hands together, using a tighter grip as I go up, and always checking to see if I feel air bubbles or if the clay is hard in any places. It's usually this stage where I can tell whether my throwing will be successful or not. If you do feel air bubbles, etc., take your time, pop them now and get rid of them. If you feel that the clay dryness is uneven, you can wet it down now or even just start over and wedge it better. I usually go higher than this with so much clay, but for the video, you get the point. Using a hand along the top and one at the side for control, I push the top back down until it's centered and I have a very wide domed mound. By the way, we're almost to 100,000 subscribers. We'd really appreciate you helping us reach our goal by subscribing, and maybe we could do something special once we cross the finish line. So let us know if you have any ideas in the comments section below. Again, I use my fingers along the edge to get that last bit of clay right down to the bat. As you can see, when using this much clay, it's a lot of pressure on the wrists, and I wouldn't want anyone to develop tendinitis. So one tip to making this easier is to push the clay towards the center using a square bat or any flat-edged tool, as they're more rigid and bigger than the surface of my hands. I simply wet the bat down, then use the flat part of it to press the clay inward and down into the centered mound. To open a 1-pound mound of clay, I usually use my fingers, but they aren't strong enough for this much clay, so first I find the center of the mound using my fingers. Then I wet the palm of my hand and press down into the center of the mound using my palm, of course always supporting it with my other hand. Remember, I want to trim a compartment in the center of the mound, so I only want to push down so there's still about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of clay down to the bat. I'm anticipating a lot of kernels. I need to check and see how much clay there is, so I compress the clay in the center, then using a needle tool, I check to see how much clay was left. And that'll work. I closed up the hole, then used a sponge to widen out the inside of the bowl a bit. Now proportions are important. I want the inside bottom pulled out wide enough so the clay can easily be manipulated upward and outward without the belly of the bowl collapsing. So remember, the widest part of the clay right now should be at the bottom, touching the bat like a sort of subtle hourglass shape. Now I'm using a red rib on the inside to compress the clay, which will also help strengthen the belly of the bowl as it's so vulnerable. Now I can begin to pull upward. Now I have skinny fingers, so for a wider surface, I'm using a sponge pressed into the bottom to create a ridge of clay for me to pull upward.
And that gives me this clay here.
Okay.
I'm going to, it's kind of sharp, so I'm going to go over it again.
I dampen the sponge and pushed that ridge of clay inward so it doesn't just peel off when I began to pull.
Okay. Okay. Now we're going to pull this clay upward.
With so much clay, it's easier on my fingers to pull up using that damp sponge. Notice my other hand is always supporting my pulling hand. You can also see that the circumference of the clay on the bat just shrunk, so the rim and belly of the bowl will need to shrink too to avoid losing control of it. I still have that subtle hourglass shape. The top is widening out with still enough clay on the bottom to support the belly. One other tip is to make sure not to over-thin the rim. I'll need to stretch the rim out later, so I want to keep a solid amount of clay there. Compress it down if you need to.
Just a little bit, not too much.
I always compress the clay again with my rubber rib in between each pull to make sure there are no thin spots on the wall that'll twist loose as it gets bigger. I actually do feel a little weak spot on the wall of this bowl that I need to keep an eye on. The side view of the piece shows you that the belly of the bowl is still not overextending the circumference of the clay along the bat, so there's no chance of collapse right now. I did another pull using my damp sponge along the bat to push in the ridge. I wet the sponge and again pushed inward along the bottom so the bowl walls would rise. I pulled all the way to the top with my thumb supporting my sponge hand and the other finger supporting the wall. I switched to the red rib to compress again. I'm keeping my eye on that thin section in the wall, and I can see that it started to twist, so the rib will help stretch that back into place. Another remedy for a thin spot is to also compress the clay along the outside of the bowl too to try and push clay into that weak area. I can see where it is on the side view of this bowl. It took a few passes with the red rib inside and out, but I had enough clay along the wall to be able to smooth it out. Once I got the height of my piece, now I can start to belly out the bowl and stretch the rim out. I used my rib along the inside of the bowl where it abuts the wide foot ring, and began to slowly push the clay outward while supporting it with my hands to make sure I didn't push out too far. A tip for stretching the rim out is to use a damp sponge against it. The damp sponge will help the clay not to crack along the rim as it stretches out. Now you can trim away excess clay from the rim, and I like to use my fingers to compress that clay so it's wide and durable. You can see that there's still enough clay along the foot of the bowl so that even though the belly of the bowl is wider than the foot ring, there's still enough clay under it so the bowl doesn't collapse, and that's the most important thing. For the final touches, I want to soften and round the rim. You can use a chamois cloth or just a folded strip of paper towel will do too. I just wet the paper towel, bridged it over the rim, and let the rim take the bridge shape as the wheel spun. Now it has that nice round shape. And don't forget the foot ring. I don't want it to look like it's growing out of the bat, so I'm undercutting it with my sharp wooden stick tool. Now, I still don't know the real name of that tool, so if you have a name for it, let me know in the comments section. There it is. Now set this aside to dry to leather hard. I made a bowl earlier that's now leather hard. I'm going to use the rim of a party cup as my template for trimming. I centered it at the bottom of my bowl and traced around it with a needle tool. I then traced one more line about a 1/4 inch inside that first traced line. Now I'm going to use this rounded trim tool to begin trimming from the bowl center out to my inner trace line. Now I'm taking it really slowly so I don't gouge the clay or go too far out beyond my borderline. I also need to make sure I don't trim too close to the bat. So for the video, now Jim is speeding it up a bit, but I'm really going slow, always evaluating with my needle tool. Now you can see where I measured the depth already once by that hole in the center. My goal is to retain a 1/4 inch of clay inside that inner compartment, and I still have a little bit more to take out. To keep from gouging, notice that I'm supporting that inner cutting hand with my other hand to keep it as steady as possible. I compressed the clay with my fingers and measured it one more time. Now that's what I want to see. I continued to remove small sections to sculpt out the chamber around the edges and up to that inner borderline. When I got the majority of the clay out, I smoothed and compressed the walls and bottom with a wet finger. I still need a ledge or gallery where my lid will sit, so I'm using a flat trimmer to trim the section down between the two traced circle lines. Ideally, I want to trim it down about 1/4 inch for the width of the slab lid. For the lid, I rolled out a 1/4 inch slab of clay and ribbed it smooth. Using the party cup as a template, I cut around the cup. I smoothed down the edges of the circle on both sides. I tore several strips of thin newspaper. I placed the slab over 3 of the newspaper strips. Holding the edges of the newspaper, I placed the lid over the chamber and onto the gallery. I can then trim the lid or press the clay downward to fit the opening for a good fit between the two. The newspaper will help the lid not to stick to the bowl. When the lid dries out a bit, use a hole puncher to create the holes to sieve out the kernels. Here's one that I made earlier with different sized holes. And here's a popcorn bowl that I made earlier. I left the gallery and a section under the lid unglazed, making sure there was no glazed areas touching at all, then fired them together. I was curious to see if the kernel catcher would work, and I was surprised to see that many of the kernels did shake down into the chamber. This bowl would make a great gift with some gourmet popcorn, and it'll save you a trip to the dentist. Thanks to the newest members of our Little Street Pottery Research Facility team. If you'd like to join the team and earn a title, click on the Super Thanks button or the link to buy me a coffee. In any case, we invite you to subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time in the studio.